Hey everyone, this is Terry with Hill on Two Wheels, and I am a passenger on the back of a motorcycle. And recently we've had a subscriber ask about what is it that I can do to get my wife or my partner to be as comfortable on the back of a motorcycle as you are. And I never really gave it much thought before because Stan and I have been riding for years and it's just something that we just do naturally. Anyway, as a passenger, there's a lot of things that you need to take into consideration, as well as a rider, there's things about your passenger that you need to take into consideration. So stick around and we'll show you the way.
My name's Stan. You guys have already heard from Terry.
Hi again.
But I just wanted to jump in and kind of give you my perspective as the rider. I like the fact that Terry enjoys to ride because I get to share the experiences that we have on the road, not only with her, but all you guys, because she does a lot of the videoing off the back of the bike. But also, I don't have to feel guilty about leaving her home or somewhere and going off and hanging out with all my buddies.
A lot of guys would prefer just to take off without their woman.
And that's fine too. I mean, whatever floats your boat, but I enjoy the fact that she likes to ride with me and we get to experience this stuff together. Mm-hmm. So I guess, why don't we just go right into what's the first thing you have to know about riding as a passenger on the motorcycle?
First thing you need to know is whether or not that rider would like you on the back of his bike. And usually how he indicates that is by straddling the bike, standing up. Well, my rider, I should say, stands up, and that way I know that I can get on the back of the bike. It's good to go.
Yeah, so for the way we do it anyway is the bike's on the kickstand, I'll straddle the bike, stand it up off of the kickstand. That lets her know I'm ready for her to load up. You definitely don't want to try to get on a motorcycle if your rider is not ready for you to do it. So make sure he's ready. Otherwise, you could topple the bike. So
because I have a seat rest, typically what I do is when he's standing up, I put my hand on his shoulder, put my hand on the backrest, put my left foot on the floorboard, and I swing my leg over the seat to the other side and put my foot over there on that floorboard. And then I sit down and he knows that I'm ready to go.
And then when you get off,
I just reverse that. And I get off and he knows that I'm off the bike.
And that's pretty much all you need to know about getting on and off the bike. Now, there's several different ways to go about it. There's no necessarily right way or wrong way. So I see a lot of passengers, they will get on a motorcycle before the rider does. So while the motorcycle's still on the kickstand, Terry doesn't like to do that, but we do see a lot of riders that do it that way. Nothing wrong with it. So it's
whatever works for you.
Yeah. Okay, now that we've mastered getting on and off of the motorcycle, the next thing is just riding it. But one of the things I just thought of, what do you hold on to while you're riding?
Oh, well, I used to hold on to the strap between my legs when we had the Harley. I felt secured with that. But typically I don't hold on to anything. So
with the tour pack.
With the tour pack, because I'm so snug in that tour pack, it really doesn't make me feel the need to hang on to something as much. But every once in a while, something gets crazy, and then that's when I'm doing the reach around, hanging on. That doesn't happen hardly at all, but I know that I need to be ready to do the reach around, but that doesn't happen very often, so don't worry about that.
But what about if the bike doesn't have a backrest or
I hang on to you.
You just hang on to the rider, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But that strap on the seat definitely helps. And I know some seats have handles on them and stuff.
Yeah, I see a lot of ladies reaching back and they're holding the bars back in the back. I find that it looks so uncomfortable. I'm like, how are you enjoying the ride when you're just like, hanging on like that? I mean, just relax and enjoy the ride and trust your rider.
Yeah, and then so what about when you're coming into a corner? How do you as a passenger take the corners on?
Well, I don't lean. I actually follow his body. And he is following the bike. So I just kind of like follow his direction.
So basically wherever my body is, you just match that.
Yes.
So in actuality, you're not leaning at all. The bike's leaning and you're just sitting on top of it, and you lean with the bike naturally because you as a passenger, you don't ever have to worry about or think about leaning.
Nope, I don't ever have to think about much.
And we can show you this. We did some exaggerated examples here of what it looks like if the passenger is leaning hard one way or the other, and that causes the rider to have to counteract that lean that the passenger is doing. So if the rider's not ready for it, it could potentially make you miss your turn or lose your balance and fall over. So that's just one thing to keep in mind.
Yep. Every once in a while, I'm like geeking around and looking at the scenery and not really paying attention to the traffic. Next thing you know, Stan's made a sudden stop and boom! I've hit my noggin, my helmet on his helmet. It's actually embarrassing when that happens.
It happens sometimes. Actually, when I've taken Terry's friends out for a ride, it happens almost every time. When I first apply the brakes, they clunk their head against my
They're not anticipating the stop.
So how do you prevent that?
How do you prevent it? You just pay attention. I mean, you pay attention to
what's going on around you.
What's going on around you. I mean, if you're coming into a stop, you kind of apply your own personal brakes,
Kind of push back in your seat so you're not falling into the rider.
Yeah, so you pay attention to it coming into a slow stop. I mean, there's going to be times, obviously, when it's a sudden stop, you can't help it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, hopefully you don't have too many of those.
No. Before I met Stan, I used to go on rides with other fellows, and there have been occasions where I've been a little scared. And I've had occasions where someone would intentionally scare me. And, I mean, that kind of just gives you anxiety about getting on a bike with someone. So, I mean, you'd really got to know who you're riding with, and you need to be able to trust their riding capabilities. If they ride like an idiot, you're warranted to be a little nervous about riding with them. But I mean, so just pay attention, and the guys, they need to pay attention too.
Well, I mean, guys out there, if you want a girl to ride with you and be comfortable, then you have to take her insecurities, especially early on, into account, where you're going to have to be a little bit extra cautious so you don't scare, because if you're interested in her coming back out with you again, if you scare her, she probably won't, and for good reason. So, but I mean, a lot of that too is you can gauge somebody's personality pretty well, I think, if you get to know somebody, which you should before you jump on their bike.
Yeah, I mean, you get people out there that they're just they're going to be out to show off, and that's how they're going to ride.
Yeah, if you're around a guy that's like always trying to show off and trying to impress everybody all the time,
peacocking out there.
Yeah, then that's the type of guy that's probably going to be out there riding like an idiot. I mean, he's going to be taking unnecessary risks, and as a passenger, it's your responsibility to know the difference between riding with somebody like that is going to put your life in
jeopardy,
and, potentially in jeopardy, because it's no joke out there. If you go down, and people do every day, then there's consequences. So just keep that in mind. We certainly don't want to discourage anyone from riding, but there is a reality at play here that, and we don't want to see people getting on the back of people's bikes that are not really prepared to have a passenger.
Well, we've seen circumstances many times where a rider has scared his passenger, and she won't ever get back on the back of the bike with them.
Oh yeah, we know several ladies that have been basically ruined for riding because of that, because they rode with somebody that rode like a idiot and scared the crap out of them, and they just think every rider's like that, or that's just motorcycles, and
that's not the case, ladies. That's not the case.
So if you've had one bad experience, that could be a
learning lesson as far as for the next time you get on the back of a bike.
Yeah, so you might want to try it with somebody that's that you know is going to be responsible and respectful of your safety as well. So, right. Okay, another thing from the rider's perspective, one area that we want our passengers to be aware of is when we encounter things like U-turns, parking lots, maybe splitting lanes here in California, where you're having to ride at slower speeds. What goes through your mind when we need to ride at slow speeds? Because obviously at slow speeds, the bike handles way different than it does at regular speed.
I just know to be more conscious of being still. You know, I mean, I don't want to jiggle around in the back or do anything like sudden, make any sudden movements or whatever. So I typically just I'm relaxed, but yet I'm still. So, I mean, especially when we're splitting lanes. I mean, I definitely do not want to be gyrating back there, doing the jig, you know.
Yeah,
no.
From a rider's perspective, when you're splitting lanes, you have to be ready for absolutely anything to occur. You know, cars to suddenly change lanes right in front of you, or pinch you out, right? You know, they're on their cell phone or something and they just close the gap on you. So you need to be ready to maneuver quickly and alert, obviously. But so it helps to have a passenger back there that's relaxed and not moving around a whole bunch, because when you have to react quickly, if the passenger's doing something weird back there, it could throw you off.
Yeah. So don't do anything weird back there.
Yeah. No weird stuff.
Oh, darn.
You know, we have to make responsible decisions while we're out there riding. You know, I mean, you know, bar hopping's a popular thing to do. But as a rider, I really encourage people to keep it under control and be safe out there. Do not do any excessive drinking and riding.
And that goes both ways, as well as the passenger. I mean, you can't be getting all, sloppily drunk. I mean, you need to have your senses. So, but speaking of that, one thing you do need to be totally aware of is if your rider is drinking too much, you have an out. You don't have to get on the bike with them. If you don't feel safe, you do not have to get on the back of the bike. In fact, there's a thing called Uber. And if you feel like your life is at jeopardy because he's been drinking a little bit too much, call an Uber.
And that might just be enough to encourage the rider to take that option as well, as opposed to risking his own neck and wallet.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean that's an important part. But as for the passenger, you don't want your passenger back there just like a limp noodle flopping all over the place.
Well, you feel like you have to strap them in.
You don't want to feel like you need to ratchet them onto the backrest.
I've heard of stories of that.
Oh yeah, guys have had to tie their old ladies onto their back of their bike just to get home. But so I mean that happens. You just don't want it to happen to you.
No, just be aware.
Now, having said that, I do think that the passenger can probably tip a couple more back than the rider.
Yes, we can. And that takes us to what I enjoy about riding.
Well, let me also interject here.
Oh.
We have a deal here.
Oh, yes. Tell them about the deal.
Well, it usually works out in her favor because we ride most of the time. But if we're riding, she gets to have fun. But when we take the cage, it's my turn.
Yeah.
Because she's driving us home.
So not fair, but whatever.
It's fair.
It is fair. So
anyway, what were we going to talk about next?
We were going to talk about what we enjoy about it, and that's one of the things I enjoy. Besides that, I mean, I totally enjoy being with him on the back and just going out and seeing all the scenery, and just there's things that I see that with the helmet, you know, with the Cena in our helmet. I mean, I can point things out. I'm like, oh, take a look at that. Oh, look at that. And he wouldn't even see it because he's too busy focused on the traffic and you know, the bike and
where we're going.
Yeah. And so I think he enjoys having me point these certain things out.
Oh, for sure. And recording it. I mean,
Yeah.
you're able to get some great images off the back of the bike that I can see later if I don't see it during the ride.
Yeah.
Okay, another question that ladies might have that have never ridden before is what should she wear?
Well, you really need to take a look outside. See how the weather is. If you need arm protection, you wear a long sleeve shirt, you wear jeans, you always wear boots. A lot of people like gloves, obviously your helmet, sunglasses. Some people go as far as only wearing leathers. So, I mean, it's really your preference.
It is kind of a preference, and I guess this falls under the category of do as we say, not as we do. But I mean, with a few exceptions, we always wear boots. You'll never see us out riding with shorts. When it's 100 degrees out, the leather jacket's not going on. Sorry, but I feel that being super uncomfortable while you're riding is a bigger danger than not having that protection, because you're distracted. If you're sweating your whatever off, then
you're off.
Yeah, that's a distraction from you being able to pay attention while you're riding, and it just doesn't make for an enjoyable ride if you're just about ready to have a heat stroke.
Some ladies like to wear tennis shoes. I really prefer boots, just because you never know what's going to come up off the road and potentially hit you in the foot or the leg or whatever. So,
or if the unfortunate incident occurred where the bike did fall over and it landed on your foot, a 1,200-pound motorcycle is going to do some damage.
Yeah,
so
you want to have
some protection there.
Just think protection,
along with the road, it's going to grind, if you're sliding down the road, you're just going to grind your boot off, but just think what it would do to a tennis shoe. It's gone in the first few feet of your slide. So, that's just something to think about. There's that common refrain of dress for the slide, not the ride.
Right.
I prefer to say, don't wreck your damn bike in the first place, and then you're all safe.
Don't do that.
But hey, we really appreciate you guys joining us. Please leave us some comments.
Yes.
Let us know what
we missed,
what some of you other experienced two-up riders do. I'm sure we missed lots of stuff, but leave comments and share so that people that are maybe interested in this subject, they can learn from you as well.
I hope we covered everything.
Yeah, hopefully we covered a lot of it anyway.
Yeah.
But and in the meantime, hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification.
And thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. Come back real soon. We'll have another video for you next week.